privileged to deliver the centenary lecture of the great leader, the great visionary, M.I. Okpara, the then premier of the Eastern region of Nigeria. In that lecture, we're able to give a brief profile of his life, look into his leadership period, the legacy he bequeathed to us, which, as far as I'm concerned, as at today, is still a challenge. We try to draw some lessons from his life, from his legacy, and juxtapose it to our current day challenges of life, and looked into the future to know if, given the present day challenge we're having, what would have been the impact of such a leadership template that M.I. himself was able to practicalize. In it, obviously, there were a whole lot of lessons to be learned. There were a whole lot of inspirations out of it. You know, I revere him a lot. I'm one of the scholars of his leadership model. And I think that for what he was able to do in what Dr. Pius Okibo could name Okparanomics, even in our present day situation, it will still give us a model state. Because as far as I'm concerned, M.I. Okpara lived beyond his time. His vision was far way ahead of it. If you look at those things that constituted his great leadership legacy, he talk about agriculture, he talk about industrialization, he talk about education, he talk about infrastructural development, and all those his integrated plans. There are still the challenges we are facing today. In my state, like Anambra State, group of people were put together in what they call Committee for Anambra 2017, that is shooting 50 years from now. Obviously, when you look at whatever they will come off, that was Okpara of 60 years behind, you know, and the only thing I could see missing in that place was the modern day trend of ICT. I know that if these things were able to be even closer during the tenure of M.I. Okpara, he would have been the trailblazer. You know, so having looked that into today, we were able to see that M.I. Okpara was able to underscore the point that it's not about how young, it's not about age. It was also about your vision, about your purposefulness, about your courage and the ability to articulate policy that is implementable. He was able to prove that because the legacy was just about 6 years, roughly. And I was also able to say in his emergence into politics, the issue that is lacking in our modern day leadership. Role models and mentorship. He was inspired into politics by the charisma of the great Zik of Africa. And Zik had the leadership quality to identify talents. As young as he was able to see the special talent in him. And no matter not minding his age, was able to hand over the leadership of NCNC to Okpara in 1960 at the age of 39 when he assumed the position as the Governor General of Nigeria. By then, he had had pretty much time to groom him, knowing that Okpara had his first uh, electoral position in 1952 as a member of Eastern Region State Assembly, where he was appointed even a minister. So if you check that 52 to 1960, he would have been a minister at the age of 31. And as a Minister of Agriculture, Health in between, it was the agricultural program then that gave rise, to the foundation of what is called today University of Nigeria and Nsukka. And then when he became the Eastern Region Premier, he was able already to build on those foundations because he saw education as a very, very important aspect of any national development. Yes, of course, the good thing about regional government was that it encouraged competition. The competitiveness then was that the Western region then introduced free education from up through primary school. And Okpara immediately retaliated with free education also in the Eastern region. And with that, by the time the University of Nigeria Nsukka came into being, they were able already to produce quality basic education that acted as a feeder to the UNN. So he paid a whole lot of emphasis in human development. We have not had any institution that is better than that up to today. His was humanitarian. He ran a people-centered government. His good friend and schoolmate, Dr. Pius Okonkwo, would say that was unconnected with his profession of being a medical doctor, that made him naturally humanitarian. But he also felt that unlike medical doctors, that medicine would have been his calling, but his life was leadership. He was able to educate himself by reading far and wide so many things and disciplines that he was in control of his third universe, as a matter of fact. So that again brings us to the issue of preparedness to leadership. Today we have leaders that I doubt the level of the skills they have acquired, the level of preparation, through mentorship, tutelage, or even self coaching. So that, I believe, leaves us today with leaders who may just be there for other reasons rather than of service. And Okpara was selfless in his leadership. It is on record that he presided over creation of the latest layout that remained one of the best places in Nigeria in the southeast, like the GRA Enugu, GRA Port Harcourt. But up until his return from exile, he had no single house to himself. It was only friends who came together to build him a country home, and that was the only known property that he had. That's selfless leadership. And that is why one of his friends, Ebuna, had said that he's just such a moral compass. And there are so many things to learn from him that are really a scarce commodity in the current day leadership qualities. And if you look at the selection criteria, it was on merit. Nnamdi Azikiwe identified his talent and gave him the opportunity to occupy a certain critical position. So I am sure that somewhere, wherever he is, today we're celebrating this man. Nnamdi Azikiwe can simply say, that was my boy in whom I am well placed. How many of us today, leaders, can acclaim such for somebody that they have mentored? Because today we have godfathers who chose leaders for other pecuniary reasons. The return they make to them the benefits they make out of it. Because you see people who just want to get into power, but they don't have the leadership qualities. They don't even know what to do with it. So leadership matters. Integrity matters. Vision matters. And I think these and many more, if we were able to get it back in our own leadership quality today, we will have a country that obviously will be good for all of us. In that lecture also, extracting what's on ground, we looked at the NSAS. NSAS obviously is as a result of accumulated failures. In the time of M.I. Okpara, one can easily say that there was almost zero employment. In fact, people get admissions into universities, and before their graduation, employment is already waiting for them. Everybody was gainfully employed, and today we can't boast of such. And obviously that was because he identified critical areas of life. He also was able, and which was industrialization, agriculture, education, all this infrastructural development that was huge. And because these things also have a way of rubbing off from each other. When he set up the industrial clusters in Port Harcourt and Enugu, that again attracted a different type of business, tourism, and so on and so forth. That gave rise to Presidential Hotel in Enugu, Presidential Hotel in Port Harcourt. How many years? Over 67 years ago. These are how economies grow. So I personally still believe in the integrated economic possibility of those eastern states that are now divided into 9 states. The eastern region that is now 9 states. They have everything to have economic relationship. They even share certain infrastructural development. It will make them stronger and better. But for that, you need leaders who are prepared. You need leaders who are selfless. You need leaders who can emulate certain personal attributes like M.I. Okpara and domesticate and adapt their vision with the 21st century challenges. So today, I am happy, and obviously that was crowned with an award that was given to my humble self. So I thank God for the life M.I. Okpara lived, and I pray to God to inspire people like us who are also looking forward to taking certain leadership position, like being governor of Anambra State, which I'm contending for, that we should have that grace and that favor that he was able to use or shower upon his son and my Okpara. A little bit of that can take us far, and then for the benefit of people, and then for humanity. I thoroughly embraced it. Like I told you, I can say that I'm a scholar of M.I. Okpara. I've studied his vision. He was not just a dreamer. There are difference between being a dreamer and a visioner. And then you live and die with your dream. He was one who was able to dream, visualize, and then implement, and left the legacy to see. I, for one, believe that there's no leader who has bad intention. Anybody aspiring to a leadership position wish the best for his people, and will want one day to be remembered with his legacy like M.I. Okpara has been talked about. But the question is, do they have that integrity and courage to withstand the challenges that come if you find yourself in such a position? That's the difference between a leader ordained by God and someone who just wants power. Because when we are God's chosen one, He will give you all the rudiments and the ingredients you need to withstand pressure. In fact, it's such that even at this level of aspiration, you will see a whole lot of people who will come with the best of intentions. But if you don't know where you're going to, if you are not consistent with your plans, they will come with all sorts of proposals that will make you just lose track. And before you know it, you are just floating. You lose control of everything. So it will only take the grace of God, to give you all you need to withstand that. That's therefore why we should always pray for God to give us that leader that is of God's making.